Uh, so I'm happy to be here today, and I'll be introducing. I'll let the panelists introduce themselves, and then I will help out with the Q&A after that's done. So why don't we start with Tien Gan? Maybe introduce yourself first, and then we'll go as I see
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Tian. I currently live in US, Pasadena. I'm a concept artist and an illustrator. I work for Bad Robot Games. We are working on the AAA co-op shooter. Nice to meet you guys.
Tien, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background and maybe your education and things like that.
Oh, cool. So I'm used to be a product manager in internet company like for 4 years, but I really like doing like concept arts, painting, illustration. I also like making games. So I decided to change my career path based on my passion. So I'm go back to school. Go back to like Art Center College of Design. I studied like entertainment design there from 2017 to 2021. So I start to working for like different indie game outsource project, theme park project during school. Start from 2019, and then after graduation, I joined Bad Robot Games. So I'm start like work as like a concept artist. So during my job, I mainly like decide like a character, mechanical props, environment, creature, weapon, visual effects, like all that type of what that type of things for the game. I also made like illustration for marketing. So yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
thanks for that, Tien. Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, my name is Cameron Sparling. I am a photographer. I live and work in Vancouver, BC. Um, at the moment, my area of expertise would be all commercial advertising work.
Cam, you
Would you
could
like
tell
a
us about
breakdown of
yeah,
how
where
I
you
how
got
I sort of got
started.
into it? Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
of course. So basically, I got started. My grandma gave me a camera when I was really young, and I shot with that thing absolutely nonstop. That was in the film days, and eventually my parents found out how much film I was chewing through, and I was cut off briefly. And then when I was in university, a friend of mine gave me. He would show up to like parties and things with his camera. Anytime we were hanging out, he would have his camera, and eventually he had to show me I needed to stop taking his camera away from him. That he could use it, and that was when I decided I need to get my own camera again. Then I went into marketing for a long period of time. I was working at the time in marketing, and that sort of gave me, I don't know, a bit of an edge on like what I wanted and like how side of things would work. And I started shooting independently and just really couldn't find my feet with it because it's pretty hard if you don't have any kind of connections. Um, and so then I went back to school. I went to Van Arts, and I really like started to learn the tools that I needed. And coming out of Van Arts, I was really lucky, and somebody took me on as like a mentor. Like they were my mentor, I should say. And that really helped develop my skills. And I went through as an assistant for a number of years. Um, and just more recently, I've started being able to support myself just photography, and now it's all like commercial projects, as I said, mostly portraiture and some product stuff.
Thanks, Cam. And then Shannon, why don't you tell us about yourself and your background?
For sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Shannon. I'm based in Edmonton, Alberta, and I work at a company called Berlin. Although sometimes I wish I worked in Berlin at a company named Edmonton. But um, I'm an art director here. I started out as a designer and worked my way up. Um, in terms of background, I went to the University of Alberta in their visual communication program, and also minored in social sciences and anthropology. which was really fun. I kind of got here because I enjoyed creativity in the visual sense, and I said, hey, maybe I could be a graphic designer, and was pursuing that. And one of the excellent things about the U of A is they do a lot of focus on creative thinking. And so while I was there, I kind of fell in love with creative thinking overall. And that's what led me to advertising. There's a lot of creative communications. And so I'm an art director, like I said, but I also do a lot of copywriting and concepting. Yeah, here at Berlin. I think that's me.
Send it back to Shannon to start. Maybe give us an outline of what a typical day looks like for you as an art director in Edmonton.
For sure. So yeah, I work at a small agency. Our creative team here consists of a designer, art director, two creative directors, and a copywriter. So we're quite nimble. And what a typical day looks like for me, sometimes it kind of feels like triaging projects. So we have multiple clients always on the go. And so I'll have usually from 2 to 5 clients on my own plate. And every day I come in and navigate what is a priority. And when I say triage, it's not that intense because I'm not saving lives. I'm making brands and advertisements, but it is a lot of like juggling projects and things like that. If any of you are in design school, you know kind of that juggle up, but it gets a little bit more intense once you're in the agency world. So I am usually working on different stages of the project. So I might be being briefed on a project, and then I might have a brainstorm an hour later with a few of our creatives. I try and block off some working time, and so that would involve working in Illustrator, Figma, and actually producing art. I still do a lot of graphic design. Like I'm quite hands-on with everything, and but then I'm also like looking at my colleagues' work, and we might have a little impromptu crit, and then maybe I have a meeting with my creative director to talk about the progress of something, and then I'll have an internal on another project. So my day is very much like split up, doing a lot of things. It's constantly switching, but I honestly love the pace and the diversity and all the clients I get to work with. And yeah, that's my days always look different, but they always are full.
Yeah, I like what you said about the diversity and variety. Do you find it like challenging to jump back and forth? It sounds like you have a big project management component of your role in addition to the creative side. Do you find that challenging to bounce back and forth? And do you think it made me think that because you're in a small agency, you have to wear a lot of hats as opposed to in a bigger agency where you can maybe focus on one or the other. But I think it's neat that you get a lot of skills. So what's it like having to bounce back and forth?
Um, it's hard. Like it's always kind of tough. I think I've been here for 4 years, and at the same time as it gets easier and easier, your plate also gets fuller and fuller. So it's like this fun dance as you go through. But yeah, it's definitely a skill to switch, especially creative thinking. Your brain gets so invested in ideas and thinking through something to then switch to like laying out a document or storyboarding something can definitely be hard. And it's honestly just like a skill and a muscle you have to kind of build. And then other than that, it's something you have to manage. You have to constantly be communicating with people on your team and the accounts team and your creative director in terms of like what you need and where, and realizing kind of the buffer you need in between these tasks. That's something I've been working on, is like guys, I can't switch on a dime. I need this time, and it's always communicating that. And if you have a good team, it works.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that. That's a good answer. Yeah, an interesting um, point of view. It because in Edmonton's kind of a smaller market, right? So
Mm-hmm.
smaller agency, nimble, but you're busy doing a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna bounce to Cameron because Cameron is a solo business owner, doesn't work necessarily on a team in-house, but I happen to know that he works on teams on his projects. So what's uh, what's a day look like for you typically, Cam?
So basically, I think the easiest way for me to describe this is to sort of break down how a photo shoot goes from like birth to being finished. Because realistically, I mean, my days look so different depending on what stage of the process we're in. Stage is just going to be reach. I mean, that's just trying to make it's as a like freelancer, as a sole proprietor, you are responsible for finding your own job. It's the nightmare of working for yourself is that you're constantly looking for a job. And so the first thing you need to do is just like get that outreach. And so your clients and hopefully you land something or get started on something and then you're bidding on it. So there's that involves in the bid process quite a bit of planning because you kind of need to know how you're going to execute the project and make a plan for how you would do it. And then from that stage, hopefully the client goes through, or like the job goes through, and you enter into pre-production, which is crewing up. And I mean, I produce most of my own shoots. There's occasionally I'll put somebody else involved on that, but I've been in the industry for a long time, so I have a lot of good connections that I like to be in control anyway. I want to choose my own teams. I want to make sure I'm getting my gear equipment from the places that I would like to use. And with the relationships, with the people who I have relationships with. So I end up doing a lot of the production as well. And so you're just like building the team, gear, locations, anything that would go associated with that. And so that's a lot of communication as well. And then you'll move into like true pre-production. So maybe that's actually like physically getting the stuff that you're needing for the tools for the job. And then hopefully, ideally, and especially now because I have a studio, I will typically do a pre-light. So that's making basically getting the shoot ready so that the next day you can actually shoot it. So setting up all your lights, setting up all any art that would be associated with it. And by art, I mean like props and things. And making sure that everything looks the way it should be. And ideally, you would have a stand-in or like an assistant on the day so that you really know that your lighting is dialed. And then the actual shoot day, which is just pieces hopefully falling into place. And if you've done your job well, then it should go pretty easily. As long as you haven't overextended yourself or anything like that, or if no challenges come up. And then those days are very hectic. You're on your feet all day and trying to manage a million things, a million plates in the air, but it's extremely fun and very high energy and fun environment. And then from there, it's just post production and making sure that you have your just making everything look the way it should, finishing anything that needs to be done in terms of like retouching or um, and then that's much the end of it. So anywhere my day in the life is really depends on which part of that.
Yeah, whichever stage you're at, I guess. I
Yeah.
like that you said the word fun. What do you find? What's the most fun uh, step in that process that you talked about for you?
I mean, absolutely shooting. I mean, no photographer gets into the job for anything but the photography, I think. But realistically, the thing that I thought I would love about shooting hasn't been. I mean, I still love like finding the angles, finding the shot, and I love working with the talent. Yeah, realistically, I just love the teamwork. There is nothing more satisfying to me than like getting a large group of people and who all have unique skills and enthusiasm for the project together, and seeing them come together and make something collectively that is, yeah, like exactly what we were hoping for, or even better sometimes. Yeah, I love it. I find working with people really fun. I love directing in terms of the talent. I find that to be really engaging and fun. So yeah, I think I am a very socially motivated person, and I like feed off of working with others. And so it's definitely that's the thing that I like most. It's just yeah, getting together with people who I like, and it's such a joy that I get to like pick my teams. So like yeah, I know lots of people in the industry, but like when you're doing a shoot, you get to choose the people that you work with best, and like have awesome skills, and yeah, that's definitely for me the most fun part of it.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you start out as a freelancer by yourself, and you're ultimately working towards a team goal in the end. And it must be very satisfying to start by yourself and finish all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks, Cam. Tian, how about you tell us about a typical day for you as a concept artist?
Oh, cool. So because as a concept artist, you can work for like a movie, animation, theme park, or video game. So for me, I work for video game. So I will divide it what I do like daily in three parts. So I would say like 60% is just create like concept or illustration. So that will include I will do like sketches, so start with sketches. I will show like different design solution to my game director or art director. So they will review my sketches and then give like lots of feedback to me. So there is lots of back and forth revision, because we need to keep like we are all in line with the same vision, which can solve like a certain gameplay problem. So when I say gameplay problem, it's like what the weapon looks like, how we make the character, how we made a certain props for a mission or for like an environment. And then after we like all agree for like certain sketches, we will just move on to final. So final part, I will just finish the concept. When I say finished concept, is to make it into like a final stage. So I can pass my image to the next person in the production pipeline. So the next person will be like a 3D artist, will modeling my concept, and then or like a VFX artist will make the VFX works, and then in the end, this will pass to like a technical designer, and he will put the thing into the game to make it happen. 20%, another 20% of my job will be like communication, because like in order to make my concept work, I need to talk to my game director, art director, to know what is their requirement for the task, right? Like what they need. And I also need to talk to the tech people to know is there any like technical constraint for my design, because there's just something I can't do, because there's lots of technical issue. And also sometimes if I make like illustration, I will also talk to like marketing people, because they will use my illustration to promote our game. So I will know like, oh, yeah, what they want to see in that image. The last 20% of my job will be like play test our game like daily. So I will play test our game Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because in order to make good design, I need to really know our product, and I can also hear people's feedback for my creation, so I can know like what works, what doesn't. So yeah.
Are you a gamer outside of work as well?
Yes. So I play lots of games with my colleague because we made like a co-op shooter. So basically we play like mostly like 80% of those games that are on the market. So just know our competitor and know our
Right.
player. Yeah.
Sure.
We need to really, really know the game. So in order to make like good game to compete with them.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that your role extended all the way to testing the game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's the culture in our company because for my boss, our game director, he felt like gameplay is the first to making a game, and everyone in that company they should know the game. They should know what they are doing. If we just don't know our product, this is really hard to make a good product.
Oh, that's super cool. I like that. What did I write down? So the common theme for all of you, from a concept artist to an art director to a sole proprietor, entrepreneurial photographer, is communication is really important as well as the creative piece. Let's reverse the order. And Tian, while I have you here, tell me what you love most about your career.
I think the most fun part for me, it's like there is never like you can do anything in your job like for a concept artist. You always gotta get a task from your game director. You need to decide something within a box. Like you can only make the thing in like a certain scale, or you can only do a certain thing. You could not add like crazy design on the thing, because when you talk about making for video game, you think about like you can do something crazy, like use your crazy imagination to make something look really cool. But the key point is not just making cool, it's make it like work for the gameplay, but also you can provide like creative solution. um so make making things look appealing, creative within a certain box is really hard, but it's really fun because you need to think like um inside the box but also outside the box. Like that's really hard, and you need to find like a solution for that. So that's the part I love the most in my job.
I like the way you said that. You get to create inside the box, but you solve problems outside the box.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, Cam, I got the sense of what you love most about your job, but maybe I'll ask you the same question. What do you love most about what you're doing right now?
I mean, I know I talked a lot about how much I like working with other people, but I think the reality, the thing that I like about being a freelance photographer is just the variety. You never end up doing the same job twice. I mean, sometimes you do, but for the most part, day to day, you're not doing the same job twice, everything every day. And even if you are doing the same job, it's normally in a new location, new challenges to face, new problems to solve. And yeah, it's just that variety is the spice of life, and just finding new ways to do things. And even if you are doing the same similar job, like there's so much room for creativity in terms of like how you approach things, how you can make things more efficient. Yeah, just that variety is definitely what I like most about photography.
Great, thanks. And Shannon, what do you love about your job?
Um, thing that I most love about my job, I think, is how much play there is. I try to never take it for granted how fun what I do is, even when it's stressful or there's deadlines and things like that. Like I kind of get to play and get paid for it, and that's amazing. Um, like whether it's brainstorming, which like we cast this wide net and you kind of go to all corners of the problem, which can be very fun and playful. And then even when you get into the designing, like I'm choosing shapes and colors and fonts and um, drawing and doing all this stuff as my job, and like it's all just very fun, and it's play and it's art. Um, and then my second favorite part of my job is my colleagues, because they're amazing. Yeah.
Always nice to work with a good team. And when yours is all set, that's nice. It sounds like Tien has a great working relationship, and Cameron kind of gets to pick his team from project to project, hopefully, as much as he can. Okay, downsides. Shannon, tell me what you love least about your job.
Um, I think the pace can be quite exhausting. Also, this kind of contradicts what I just said, but also being creative on demand is also such a skill and can be really hard, especially working at the pace that an agency like ours works at. So that can be hard. Yeah, I think that's my least favorite part. That's when things get feel kind of tough, is those crunches and that on-demand creativity. Like I said, I try to remember that it is fun and it's play and it's what I love to do, but there's definitely moments where it gets hard, and there's deadlines and there's clients and there's pressure. And and that's where things are tough. But yeah, I think that's my answer.
Yeah, I just know that in a corporate environment, just switching any old task from task to task can be stressful and trying, but going from project managing and scheduling and calendars to being creative, that's got to be an even tougher adjustment from moment to moment. Good answer. Cameron, what is the biggest challenge or what you love least about your job?
Honestly, I don't want to say the exact same thing as Shannon, but I feel like pacing is can be really tough. I find I go from insanely busy low, and that can be, I mean, when it hits the first week of insanely slow, whew, feels good every time. But sometimes, yeah, I'll do like 27 days in a month, and there's really no choice when you work for yourself. When there's work available, you have to take it, and or you don't have to, but it certainly feels like it. And then and you'd never know what is coming. I mean, obviously, I worked through COVID where there was just essentially nothing for months on end, and so you don't really know. Like sometimes stuff will just dry up, and that's just part of the industry. After doing it for 10 years now, I've realized that there are just ebbs and flows, and now it's a little bit easier when I get into a slow period to just be like, all right, well. I can enjoy myself a bit. I've got some time, but that took me probably 6, 7 years to sort of get into my brain that it wasn't just my whole career was falling out from underneath me, but it was just a slow period. And then the other side of that coin is just, yeah, I mean, shoot days are billed for 10 hours, and they don't all in the 10-hour thing. I mean, sometimes you just have more work to do than 10 hours can provide. And you know, if those back up on top of each other, then you can end up on set for 70 hours in a week really quickly. And I've definitely done more than 70 hours on multiple weeks. And you know, every single time I'm like, this is great. I love it. I'll take it every day. I love my job, and I genuinely will say that to myself as my little in the morning. And I will feel it when I'm at work. I'll be like, it's great. I genuinely do love this. But at a certain point, that can start to take tolls on your body, and you get into like almost survival mode, just trying to make it through. Um, yeah, that is definitely something that sometimes this is certainly a challenge, certainly something that is a drawback of this career. Um, but it's also just part of it's part of it, unfortunately. And yeah, I still love it. So yeah.
And maybe expand a little bit, like how do you manage? I know you can't predict how long a slow time is going to be, but how do you manage your emotions and time and feelings, and like how do you make the most of those lulls in work?
Um, Now it's just so much easier because I know that my like I build my life around an annual income and I operate that way. And so it's a lot easier. Whereas in the past, it was really like a lot more like paycheck to paycheck when I was first getting started. But how do I manage my time? I think realistically now I know what to focus on when I have a down period. I know those are the times to work on outreach, work on portfolio, man, like making sure that everything else around the business is in order. And then sometimes it's also just literally, yeah, okay, this week I'm gonna, if it's the summertime especially, I'm gonna relax. Because I might end up doing, as I said, 70 hours next week. So and you like shoots do come on quickly sometimes. It might not be a week from now, but it might be 2 or 3. And so yeah, that's a good, like that's definitely part of managing it. Um, but mostly, yeah, just trying to focus on the things that I can control, which are the other sides of my business. So how, like, yeah, portfolio and things like that. And also, I mean, I love I love working so much that I'll work for free on my own projects all the time. So if I don't have anything coming in, that's like the perfect time to shoot a creative project. Like there's so you need to shoot creatives, and it would be crazy not to, because I mean to be a photographer and only do commercial work. It's like, what's the point of, and not that what's the point? I mean, commercial work is very creative and it's a different type of creativity, but there's this time where you want to be shooting stuff that's truly self and truly for, because you want that image to exist out in the world. And so, yeah, for the perfect time to do that, because you're still exercising muscle. And I do feel like the work muscle is a very real one. You need to be exercising it, or it like gets weak. Just practice does. You need to stay practiced. So yeah, it's a good time to shoot creatives.
Cool, thank you. And Tian, tell me about something that you don't like about your job.
So for my job, making a video game takes a long time. So the project like lasts almost like 5 years, so maybe like another year, like 6 years until it got launched. So it's like a super long time. You almost spend like, I would say, like a big part of your career just on that project, and it's risky. No one can know it works. So actually that's like there's such a huge uncertainty like in front of you, and sometimes you will doubt like whether I make like a right decision like to stay in the project, like because it's just so long. It just like require you like lots of patience to wait until the things work. But because making a game just so many different parts, like you need to put them together to make it like all works. So you're gonna need to be patient. You're gonna need to also like, so for me, because I'm spent so many time on this project, I also try to just make something like different. So for me, I will do my personal project like other like outside of work, have nothing to do with the current project I already made, like different style, like different thing. I try to just relax myself, and to make me like less think of like whether this project gonna work. I also do something like other than concept art. So I also do um I also shoot photos, but I'm not like professional. It's just my hobby. So I would just do something like something else to just distract myself from this like really, really long process. But it's a really good thing to learn to be patient. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, I like that you ended on that because that leads me to a question I wrote down as we were going. for all of you, just pipe up if you have an answer. Is there a skill that you've learned since you left school in the roles that you're in now that you didn't expect, or that has been super valuable, that you didn't know that you needed for the job that you're doing?
I have been learning how to copyright, like creative copyright, um, which is not something I went to school for. Um, but once I got into the industry and we'd hire copywriters, I'd say, hey, they're doing a really fun part of this project. Because in school we do the whole part of the project, right? You do the copywriting, you're doing the design, you're doing the concepting. And once I was here and working with writers and creative directors, I was like, hey, they get to have a lot of the fun part, concepting and writing. And so I took a course on creative copywriting and working with other copywriters. I also found some like mentors, and at one point I even thought I was going to switch over to being a copywriter. But then I talked to a copywriter and he's like, I think you want to be an art director who can write. And I was like, great point. That is probably what I want to do. But that's something I've been learning and really enjoying. And yeah.
That sounds really cool. Like a good way to expand your skill set and enhance what you know about design and the artistic side, but being able to write more strongly is must be super valuable, especially in a small group, small team like that.
Yeah.
I bet they love having that available to them. Um, what else, Cameron or Tien? Anything that you picked up along the way in your career journey that you were surprised that you needed or appreciate that you have?
Um, so when I start my career, I was thinking that I would be like a concept artist doing concept art forever or doing like illustration. But because I work with lots of other artists, like the different background, like 3D artists, they do modeling. I learn from them. And then I also work with animator. So learn like how to rig and make your model move. So then like they talk to me like, hey Tian, how about you think about like make a game or like make like a short video just for yourself. And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. So I'm start to making my personal project more and more into like a short film, not just still image. So this is a new direction I'm trying to explore and try to do.
That sounds like a
Um,
cool area. Go ahead, Cam.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
For me, I don't know. I think I had a pretty good idea of what I was going to need in terms of, I think school set me up pretty well in terms of what skills I think I underestimated how much of a small business background I was going to need. It's not that I underestimated it, is that I didn't understand what goes into that. And so that is something that I not even like a skill that I necessarily even think I excel at yet, even at this point. But it is something that I have had to work at and really um, develop because it certainly didn't come naturally, and I didn't understand it at first at all. That is something that has been like I guess a surprise in terms of, you hope to be a photographer so you can take pictures and you think about taking pictures and that's all you think about. And then you get out into the world and you're like, oh no, I get to take pictures maybe 10% of the time that I'm working, and the rest of the time is something entirely different. And so, yeah, that I guess was the sort of surprising element of it.
Right. That's good. Okay. So you've all been in your industries from between, it sounds like 4 to 10 years. Uh, there's been a lot of changes in the last 5 years. We can all think of the two-letter combination that everybody keeps talking about. But what changes have you noticed in your individual industries over the since you started? And what do you think might be coming that we should be aware of or that you're preparing for?
For me, AI has been, a little bit intimidating at first when I didn't understand it. And it's something that people talk about all the time around photography, is it is a very viable option for lots of photography uses. Um, But the further I get along in the industry, and the longer that AI is out there and I see it, sort of the less I become afraid of it. I mean, I'm working in an industry that is pretty much exclusively the higher end advertising stuff. And so there's not I feel like people still want to connect to real people. And I know that it'll be harder and harder to identify AI as it goes on, but still seems as though real people are always going to exist and always going to need photos of, like, there's always going to need to be photos of. Um, the tools that it provides alongside what I do have been really nice. I mean, in terms of retouching, it's made things way easier along the way. I mean, it's only gotten easier and easier and easier for me to do touching since like as long as I'm along. I feel like the people who went as career retouchers, I'm concerned for them. But uh, more than anything, I find that it's so useful alongside the other elements of the business, photography outside of it, just in terms of um, yeah, the other elements of business. So even just like creating rubrics for like communication, answering questions in terms of technical issues. It's incredible at chasing down, that menu that you can't find in the camera or whatever, or create a solution to a problem that you might not be able to that you wouldn't naturally have thought. So mostly it's been helpful to our AI occasionally. And I will say that one thing that the average consumer considers when they see an AI ad is that it is extremely cheap. It looks cheap. And so there's been a bit of I think there is a relatively strong resistance at this current point in time to using AI in advertising because it has a negative association with your brand, like it associates it with something cheap. But that doesn't mean that that's going to always stay that way as AI improves. But the longer it's around, the more comfortable with it being there I get, essentially.
I think for me, like AI also like have an impact in like making a video game because right now there's like from what I hear, it's like lots of company they use AI to generate like arts put into the game. For our company, we didn't use any AI for the arts. First, it's because just like I mentioned, I will play test our game like daily. I also like communicate with all the director. I think that's really like crucial part like AI could not do because AI can generate like an image in a second, but AI don't know the game. He don't know what we actually need. So when you use AI to just generate a design, it's pretty fast, but you might need like triple time to make it actually work for the game. You need to do lots of revision. But for me, because I'm playtest, I know the game, I know the people in the team, I know what they need. So I can just I might take longer to finish a design, but it just immediately work for the game. So this is something like AI could not replace the human artist. That's why I still feel like human artists still like valuable in like making a video game. But I will still keep on track of what AI how AI evolve because I want to know like how the technique just change. If at a certain point it will actually help us, so I will learn And I also think like how to use AI, it's also really important, like because I feel like some people just use AI in the wrong way. So yeah, we actually facing the similar issue.
On the AI train, because that's definitely something we've noticed as well. I feel like it kind of similar to you guys. It doesn't feel threatening. It kind of just feels like another tool. I don't see it being used like we work with illustrators and things like that. Like to me, I do not see it replacing that, and photographers and things like that. Like we're still leaning into that, and that hasn't changed for us. The way we're using it is one is during the process, like concepting. We can make a shitty little splice of something that usually we would have to Photoshop or find the right thing on Google, but this way we can make something. It's never going to be the end product, but it will help us communicate a concept or an idea. We use it in other ways as well. I think our accounts team uses it in kind of their processes and organization kind of thing. But I think even more than AI itself, the discussions and how it's changing how we're thinking about creativity and what we're doing is also changing, which I think is kind of cool. And it's like changing our own relationship to the work we do. When there is this like threat and this other thing, threats may be too negative, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes. Or at least how some people talk about it, like it's going to take your job. And one of the things that I've kind of thought about of what distinguishes us as creatives and all of us on this panel is part of what you were talking about, Tan, in terms of like understanding, but also taste. Like as creatives, we have taste. Even if I ask ChatGPT or something else to create something, I'm still looking at what's the best one. How do I tweak this? I asked ChatGPT to write me something. I'm using my taste to like go through it and figure out what's actually best. I know I have the understanding, I have the context, and we have the taste. And to me, I mean, maybe computers can learn that. I don't know. I'm not a computer person, but I feel like that's something we will always have. And we have that choice. Yeah. Anyway, we'll see where it goes. I'm trying to embrace it. I think we always have to. And reject it if we need to.
Yeah, great. Good answers, folks. Thanks.
Thank you to the three panelists and Jeff for moderating the session. It was a great session.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.